Okay, so welcome back, YouTubers. We're actually going to be talking about our second module of the Will Rollback Fix It when it comes to Dragon Ball FighterZ. And so what I want to talk about now is the assist system, because a lot has changed. Assist in this game used to be really bad. But it was okay. It was okay for assist to be worse back then because characters were also worse. Power level was lower, and so it only made sense that the lower assist power level was to go along with the characters having less tools and all that, right? Okay, well, things are different. And so assists in the game now are actually, like, a lot of them are pretty unhealthy. I won't say a lot. There's definitely a handful that are pretty silly. It's actually more, honestly, it's more than a few, but we'll talk about it. So like, obviously, right? You guys think I'm talking about the obvious ones, right? So let's talk about the obvious ones. Right? Actually, let's do this, right? Talk about them. But on top of that, let's talk about what's gonna illustrate the point the best here. The best one would be like maybe this. This is a good one. This one. This one. Let's talk about assists. Once upon a time, the game only had one assist per character, right? And so, like, your team building and whatnot was pretty limited by the fact that you could, if you picked a character, you had to pick their assist. Whoops. Sorry, I had to make sure this one out. Okay, so when you picked a character, you had to pick their assist with them. And so, like, there were characters that were pretty good, but they had niche assist applications. And so, like, it would affect their team building in that way. For example, Kid Buu's assist was always really strong. Arm ball is amazing. It's essentially a 60 frame block stun assist. In a game where, back then there weren't that many mix-ups, so like picking an assist that gave you a true jailing mix-up was very valuable, right? If you picked Kid Buu, you had to pick that assist, and so like not every character used the assist all that well, right? And so it limited your team building that way. Gotenks was absurd in season 1, but you had to pick donut assist, right? Not every character really liked donut assist like that. And so, like, that was a drawback to the character. That was something that you had to consider. You pick the characters. When they changed the game in season 3 to give characters 3 assists each, this came with some benefits and some drawbacks. It opened up some team building applications for certain characters. There are characters that would not be picked before at all that could not be picked because they had more assist applications. When season 3 dropped, everyone was raving about more characters getting beam. Everyone was raving about Trunks getting beam, about Krillin getting beam, about even Yamcha getting beam, right? Because those were assists. Beam assist was like something that was super valuable, but it wasn't on that many characters, right? It wasn't like that. And so it allowed for a lot of people to put those other characters on a team to fit their team comps, right? You saw a lot of Trunks in season 3 vanilla because of beam, right? And there's other factors, of course, like SSJ got nerfed, and some characters actually caught some buffs that were like very important to their characters, so you see them picked more too. I would say that's like Krillin. Like, Krillin was buffed on top of also being given other assists And so, you know, that's where things ended up. However, they didn't leave it there. And this is where I think they went wrong. They not only added those assists, but as time has gone on, they've essentially kept buffing assists on top of that. And so we already had a certain number of assists that were very strong, but then they went and they buffed other assists to make them even stronger, right? And so the problem that they were trying to combat was that, you know, there was only one assist per character, and so they wanted to give people flexibility. That has kind of been undermined, right? That has been undermined by the fact that assists in the game right now are so strong that you are really only picking one assist per character. Like, we're kind of back where we started, if that makes sense. Except the level's higher. Like before in season 1, it was you're only picking one assist per character, but the level of strength of assist was much lower. Now it's much higher and you're only picking one. For example, who's picking anything but this, right? Anyone? Who's picking anything but this? That is like actually a competitive player that is like trying to win. Obviously people on net play, you know, they love C assists and shit like that. That's like a whole different thing, right? Why would you? Right? Why would you not pick this when you see what the assist does? Right? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to not pick these. So essentially, each character only really has one assist. There are some characters that are exceptions, like Janemba. I think Janemba is an example of strong assists that are actually like balanced in a good way, right? You have the track and key blast assist, but it's only key blasts. So like you get the not true block stun, right? But it has great neutral application. Janemba slash, right? Goes far. It has good block stun, right? But no vertical control, really. It actually does have a pretty decent vertical hitbox, but not to the extent that you would like want to use it, right? Okay. C assist, high block stun, enables very specific mix-ups for characters, right? There are certain characters that can do a lot with specifically Janemba C, right? That's good. That's like a good way to go about it, right? Because each assist has their own unique applications. There's not one assist that's just straight up better across the board for everyone. Whereas with these characters on the left, I would argue that their A assists are just better on every team. On every team, like, you can make an argument, I think. They're just better on every team. You're not gonna pick Vegito and not pick A. You're not gonna pick 17 and not pick A. You're not gonna pick Beerus and not pick A. Now, some people I think did used to play Shockwave at one point. The B assist, because B assist is not bad. It's not a bad assist. But let's take a look, right? Let's take a look at this assist. 30 frame startup, 34 block stun, right? It travels some distance, you know what I'm saying? It has a little bit of range to it. Comes out really far in front of him, right? Cool. Okay. Surely his A assist, you know, there's trade-offs, right? For example, it has to be slower, right? Oh, it's faster by like 10 frames. Okay, maybe it has less block stun. Oh, it's 50 frame block stun. Huh. Okay, maybe the neutral applications are less since it doesn't come out in front and like track your opponent. Oh, but the orbs, they just kind of heat seek and they bounce off the wall and they actually cover a really good amount of space. So you're telling me that I could pick this assist? Oh, and by the way, there's one more thing. Surely it's easier to combo this one, right? It's easier to combo. You know, it's a nice little ground bounce, you know what I'm saying? They pop up right in front of you. You know what I'm saying? If you're moving with the assist, you know, you can run up and, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and continue your combo, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay, surely, right? Oh, wait. It turns out that if this hits your opponent, you see that number, right? Plus 90. 90! To put that into perspective for you guys. The best assist in the game, Vegito A, which is continually, people hate assist because of how easy it is to combo, right? And it is very easy to combo, but Beerus's assist is more hit stun significantly. It's plus 90, whereas Vegito's 73. And so what happens here, right? The power creep of these assists, make it so characters very clearly have an assist that is eons better than the others in most cases. So you're only gonna pick that one assist with them. It removes that idea of people wanted 3 assists in the game per character because they saw what Marvel was, right? And they were like, yeah, you know, it'd be nice to have some options. It's nice to have more options, and I agree. It's nice to have more options, but this is what I like to call an illusion of option. You think because characters have 3 assists that you automatically have more options, but in reality, in a competitive metagame, only 1 assist per character is being picked. Really. For the most part. There are exceptions. There are exceptions, obviously. But generally, you're only going to pick 1, right? Let's talk about the other team, right? On top of that, right, we talked about the assist that got buffed, right? So before the buff, for those of you who don't know, this assist, whoops, right? This was only plus 25. That was the major change that they did. And Majin 21's assist is very strong. Very strong. Right? Moves very fast. It travels full screen. It has good hit stun on top of that as well, right? Very good assist. Whoops. I forgot it makes you come off the other end, right? 65. Pretty good. Pretty good, right? Used to be 25 block stun. That was the trade-off, right? It was a little bit lower block stun. So some characters trying to do true block string mixed with this assist, like, it was harder. It was harder, right? But now it's 30 frames. Oh, okay. So why, right? Why? What's the purpose of that? Okay, let's talk about some other assists, right? This assist is complete nonsense. It's complete nonsense. Why is it complete nonsense? This is a tracking assist, in case you guys didn't know. It's a tracking assist that ground bounces. How many assists in the game track horizontally? How many assists in the game track horizontally at this speed? Right? But you could argue that Blue Goku's assists before were weak. They were. His A assist was actually like not that good at all at one point. It was pretty bad. In fact, a lot of people in season 1 didn't want to pick Blue Ku. They didn't want to pick Blue Ku because his assist was bad, right? And then they gave him options for assist, and people were using the tackle. Remember that? But then they buffed A assist again, and now we end up with this, right? Right? Okay. Let's talk about this, right? They gave this guy. Oops. Remember this shit? Remember the go-to beam assist, right? Okay, now beams fell out of meta, of course. So like, the meta now is fast assists. I would go a step further. Let's go to character select. What's the meta right now? It's defensive assists. What are the best assists to be called on defense? The fastest assists. What did they do? They made it so a lot of assists have extremely fast startup. Extremely fast startup. So even if they don't have invul states, they're so fast that you can't deal. You can't deal with them, right? Assist in question. This is a DP, or not this one. Sorry, wrong blue hair guy. This is a DP assist. This is a DP. Anyone that tells you different, they're lying. This is a DP assist. This is a DP assist. Why is it a DP assist? You cannot interact with Vegito when he is called. You cannot. You cannot. You cannot, right? It's actually a better DP assist than actual DP assists. And there's some really strong DP assists in the game, right? There's some very strong DP assists in the game. Why is Vegito A better? Because for those of you who don't know, DP assists in the game, they're not invulnerable on frame 1. Usually it's like close to frame 20. I think it's like frame 17 or something like that is like the usual standard. I think barrier in particular is frame 10. I think let me check. I don't want to feed you guys incorrect information. I'm here to educate. Hit kick, invincible from frame 17 to frame 31. Okay, so that means if you call hit assist defensively and your opponent is doing a string early enough, you'll happy birthday, right? Because hit comes out on top of your character model and he'll just get hit, right? How many times have you guys seen Vegito happy birthday? How many times? It will pretty much only ever happen if it's a horrible assist call and your back is to corner. That's pretty much it. And so you essentially cannot interact with this assist, right? Which is why it's better than DP assists. DP assists can still be happy birthday on startup. Vegito cannot. He cannot. Except in super incredibly niche situations. Better than DP assists, right? DP assist, right? Right? A DP, it's invulnerable. It's not a DP per se. It doesn't hit you immediately upon the assist going off, but it does absorb hits. It's also very fast, right? The speed, guys, that's what I'm saying. The speed of assists, that is what they have buffed on a lot of characters and what makes them so insanely strong. It used to be these assists had slower startups. They used to have slower startups. And so you had to finesse, right? Or you had to have better assist calls to get them to work. But instead, they made a lot of things, especially strike assist, low startup. They made like this, like 20 frames, right? Like this shit is pretty fast. B assist, right? This guy has been the same. This guy's been the same. This guy's fast. Remember how fast this was? Remember, like Gohan, adult Gohan used to be the solo fastest strike assist, right? The only assist that was faster than Gohan at one point was barrier, right? Just barrier. It was it. It was just barrier, right? But now Krillin also is just as fast, and it is an anti-air assist that is just as fast. This is like a poor man's Vegito A. Krillin rocks. Insane, right? It used to be if you wanted to pick something extremely strong, right? If you wanted a nonsense assist, right? Yamcha A, fantastic assist from the game's release. Literally won a world finals, right? Fast startup, good block stun, good range, good assist, right? Fantastic. They have buffed so many characters that have Yamcha assist, essentially, but better, right? Because Yamcha was there. Now we have like GTB, right? GTB is also fast startup, high block stun. Gotenks, fast startup, pretty solid block stun. I think it's like 30 something. I think it's like mid 30s, right? Lab coat, right? More active, hits both sides, right? Shit, anti-airs. It's Ki Blast invul, right? You guys don't see a problem? This used to be worse. And then they buffed it. They made it faster. They made it faster. It was balanced. It was balanced. It was. Right? But then they buffed it. Why? Why? And so, like I said, right, this is a big problem. This is a really big issue, especially if you're someone out there that hates the fact that the same characters are picked over and over and over again, right? What they've done by buffing assists is they've removed characters' niches, right? Back then, picking Yamcha for his assist was valid, but you had to play Yamcha. Yamcha's a weird character to play. The way his strings work, he's also like not the strongest character in the world, right? He's not the strongest character in the world. He's also weird to play. You had to pick Yamcha to get access to his assist. That's balance. That's balance. It's not balance for me to get access to Yamcha assist by picking this shit, right? It's not. It's not. I don't lose anything for picking her, right? The top tiers don't have trade-offs. That's the word I'm gonna use, right? Trade-offs. Trade-offs are the number one thing, especially in terms of assists, is what the game lacks right now. There is no trade-off for picking the strongest shit in the game, right? There's no trade-offs. What's the trade-off of picking this shit? There is none. Whatever people tell you. Also, hi, cool kid. How you doing, brother? How you doing, brother? Gotenks is plus 40. Oh, okay. Is it that his startup isn't 20 frames? What is it? I think he was missing one or the other, but let me look really quick. What's the startup on Gotenks assist? It's 25. Okay. Yeah. Right. There's no trade-off. There's no trade-off to picking this. Right? Where's the trade-off? Where's the trade-off? You guys see any? Right? If this guy had longer buttons, right? I call his poor man's Vegito, right? If this was on a broken ass character, it would be unbearable. It would be unbearable. This assist is imbalanced. It's actually fucked up. Rocks are super fucked. Right? It used to be that this was a trade-off, right? It used to be that this was a trade-off. Because 17 wasn't regarded as that strong of a character. But the problem is, right, is that it doesn't even, the point character doesn't even have to be that strong for what he enables. 17, in my opinion, is arguably a more egregious enabler than Vegito. I think Vegito assist is better, right? But 17 directly impacts the straight up risk reward with the game because it's a barrier, right? It's a barrier. And so like barrier assists explicitly take it from your turn, no, my turn, right? And on top of that, it's a high block stun assist. And on top of that, it's easy to combo, right? It didn't used to be that way. I think this assist was really balanced. It was really balanced when it didn't wall bounce, right? Then I think the trade-off was there, right? It used to be, okay, you could call it, but if it hits it, the combo's kind of awkward because it didn't wall bounce. So like you had to be there, right? You had to be there and ready. You had to be there. Right? And that's something that's like, to me, in a fighting game, that's super valuable, right? Being aware of, okay, I pressed my assist, and now I have to make sure I'm in the right position to combo, or else I lose my conversion. That's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? Now it's, I'm down backing, I mash this shit, and no matter where it hits my opponent, I get a full combo. It's the same with this guy, right? Damn near the same with this shit. Not to the same extent, but it's pretty up there, right? There's too much hit stun, right? It's too much hit stun on assists. I get that they want to make the game more accessible for people. They want people to actually feel like they're getting value out of their assists, but this is the wrong way to go about it. right? There should be a trade-off. There is no trade-off. There are too many assists in this game right now that I think do everything, or are close to doing everything. This does everything. This does everything. This definitely does everything. This does everything. Right? This almost does everything. Just about. Right? Right? There's too many. There's too many relevant, and these are not on bad characters, right? These are not on shitty characters. If that shit was on this guy, people still wouldn't pick him. Some would. There's some people that would. Alucard, I'm looking at you. Shout out to Brian. I know he would. But people still wouldn't pick him because you have to learn the character. Right? You have to learn the character. Right? This bitch, right? When she had just barrier, it was reasonable. But disc assist is insane. Right? Disc assist is crazy on her. That was like one of the main preventative factors of people picking 18 was you have to pick barrier. Now you can pick disc. You get a good block stun. It's a pseudo beam, right? It pierces, so it's a good counter call, right? Crazy. Crazy. Insane. Kid Buu. Right? Kid Buu's 3 assists are good. They're all good. They're all good assists. None of them are game breaking. None of them are game breaking. They're all really strong. None of them are game breaking. Right? And because none of them are game breaking, no one picks Kid Buu. No one picks him. Because the assist is not broken. It's not. They're not, right? It's just not. They're just not. I think Kid Buu's a great character. Even still. They're not picking him though. Right? I also have some issues with some other assists that are not picked as often. Like, I think them buffing this shit to be 30 frames was pretty silly, right? It was silly for them to buff base Vegeta A to 30 frames, but then nerf this guy, right? Remember this guy? Remember when this was the best assist in the game? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, right? Because I think GT it illustrates my point to such a great extent, right? GT ran season 2, completely ran season 2, right? Picked on almost every team, and for good reason. There are a lot of reasons to pick GT. He was like the first person, he was like the first character to like really like have EX like nonsense, right? Because punches and orb were both crazy, right? The Spirit Bomb Moki, of course. He was also one of the first people to have the Lariat on a button because his auto combo was so fucking long. Remember that? But also the assist, right? The assist was the best in the game by far. Right? It was the best in the game, easily. Like, you couldn't argue it. You could not argue that it was the best in the game. Okay, so what happened when they nerfed GT? They nerfed Spirit Bomb Oki, they nerfed the buttons, they nerfed Orb, right? Guess what? GT was still picked in Season 3. After those nerfs happened, he still was picked. And picked often. He was meta. He was meta. Despite all those nerfs, right? Despite all those nerfs, GT was still picked, right? That means GT in Season 3 was in a really good spot trade-off wise. You had a weaker character on point. His tools were toned down, right? But if you wanted to pick him for the assist, you still could, and it was still viable. It was still really good, right? I could go back and show you tons of VODs from Season 3. Tons of VOD in Season 3, people still picking GT. They were. Even on, like, Team Dragon Ball at the time, right? Team Dragon Ball at Season 3 Vanilla was Kid Buu, UI, GT. That was Team Dragon Ball, right? You guys remember that? Remember that? That was Team Dragon Ball. Right? Now, they double tap GT assist, but they want to buff assist like base Vegeta to be 30 frames. Now, base Vegeta A is not as good as GT. It's not as good as GT was, but why are we giving him 30 frames on an anti-air assist? And because he also has high hit stun, right? Why are we taking things away from certain characters to give them to other? S Broly, right? S Broly B, 30 frames, covers the same angle. But nerf GT, right? So the assist, the way the system, as I call it, has progressed in the game is very unhealthy, I think. Assist power level is not only too strong, but it contributes to the power creep of the game. Where before, you used to pick characters because they maybe had a very niche assist that you wanted to enable a certain play style. But nowadays, the strong characters have all the strongest archetypes of assists. And so there's no reason for you to go and pick worse characters. GTA is usable right now. Usable is not good enough in the current meta game. I'm sorry. It's not good enough. How do you guys feel about this assist? It's broken. It's broken. I'm here to convince you guys that it's broken. Why is it broken? Why is it broken? The number one issue, right? Remember this? Remember this? These are this, like, almost the same assist. Almost the same assist. Here's the problem. Gogeta A, right? It's good block stun. It's a lariat assist. Travels very far. But the main problem, have you ever gotten to a game and traded? Have you ever traded with this? This is actually the most annoying part of this assist. This assist, the most annoying part is how it trades. How it trades. If you press a button and you hit Gogeta A, like you hit him, the character takes, like you hit the assist, the character takes hit stun, all that, you see it, you still get full comboed. You still get full comboed. It's easy. It's not hard. It's not hard. And it trades a lot. Like, it's not uncommon, right? Like, I wouldn't even bring this up if it wasn't so common. It happens a lot. Like, if you watch Season 4 Dragon Ball, if people are playing this character a lot, obviously, trades with this assist happen very often. Like, it's very, very often. However, right, I will give them credit. It is a bit slower. And it is head property. So at least there's, like, some kind of answer. If your character has, you know, strong air invulnerability, right? Cool. Cool. You can maybe check it sometimes. But this is very strong, right? It's, like, pretty crazy, right? But then they wanted to nerf this guy, right? Why'd they nerf this guy? Because he did everything, right? They assisted everything, right? That's why they nerfed it, because it was a defensive call. That was high block stun. That was high hit stun, right? Remember, it did everything. Okay, but what about all the other things that do everything, right? Remember this? They nerfed it because it was a really strong DP assist. A DP assist that had extremely high hit stun, right? This assist still had flaws. It very much still had flaws, such as it was projectile at the time before they buffed all assist. Before they made every assist in the game a projectile, because they did that, by the way. Do you guys remember that? Once upon a time, assists used to have physical and projectile properties. That used to be a thing. If you were playing Broly and you bubbled, and I was playing Bardock A, and you ran up on me with Broly Bubble and I called Bardock, you still had to hold Bardock because it was physical. But now they've made every assist in the game a projectile. Before that change, UIA was still a projectile. It was still a projectile. And so you could, if you were Broly with Bubble, you could actually just like walk through his assist, even before the changes, right? You just walk through it. Insane, right? Really good assist. They nerfed it. Why? There are DP assists that do way more now, right? Aren't there? Aren't there really, if you think about it? What about this guy? What about his assist? His is a DP that's also a Lariat that also has good block stun. By the way, UIA was only 25 block stun. That has good block stun. That has good hit stun. It comes out in a good place. Also trades very well, similar to Gogeta A, right? Remember that? Why is he not nerfed? If UI is. If the principle is that the assist is doing too much, then others should be toned down as well, right? It's because they only assess things on characters that are picked often. People only care about things on characters that are picked often, when in reality, the whole system of the game is flawed, right? UI hit was a very strong shell, yeah. No, for sure. It still is, for what it's worth. I still think that shell is really good. I actually think that, like, if you want to pick UI in current season, you need to pick him with one of two characters, and hit is one of them. Yeah. But yeah, you guys see what I'm saying? So, is a problem. So, we have more testimonials. We have more testimonials, guys. I reached out, and I asked some players, for those of you who came in halfway through, for this video series, I reached out to some players who quit playing Dragon Ball. And I asked them a very simple question. I asked them, what was the #1 issue that made you stop playing? I asked them, what was the #1 reason that you stopped competing, you stopped playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? And I got a response from a player in regards to assists and team building that had a pretty good place in our community, I would say. You might know him as the Evo champion of Dragon Ball FighterZ, Wawa himself. I reached out to him in DMs. And he said, I asked him, what's the #1 thing that made you stop playing the game? Right? Here's his response. I can't choose between what I miss. I can't choose between the things that I miss. The season 2 neutral, like no big hit stun assists, no big buttons. So that's 2 modules covered already, right? We already went over huge buttons and EX moves before. But he says he misses the neutral without these assists that have so much hit stun, right? And then on top of that, he went a little bit further. He said, seeing every time the same characters, teams, etc. Is really boring to him. He's tired of seeing the same characters picked over and over again, right? And this is the guy that puts more time into the game than anyone. Like, honestly, like this guy plays way too much FighterZ. Even now, right? He's not competing. He still plays very often. He cares a lot. He plays a lot, right? This is the thing that Wawa misses the most. He misses the neutral without these assists. He misses a game where neutral felt more rewarding and you didn't have to fly around these EX moves and half screen buttons. This is the Evo champion. It's the Evo champion. The world champion. The sitting world champion. Saying this, right? You don't think this is the problem? You guys don't think this is the problem? But Khalil, the game's the most balanced it's ever been. It's so diverse. You can pick so many characters. You can pick so many characters. Really? Really? Can you? They're not telling you the whole story. What they're really saying, what they should be saying, is everything is viable. You can pick what you want if you're picking it with this. and this. That's true. I'd agree with that statement. I think you guys would too. You could pick some bullshit that's not that good. Yeah, just make sure you have the broken ass assists attached to the broken ass characters behind them, right? You can do that. You can do that. Is that really diversity? You guys think that's diverse? You guys think that's diverse? Is it? And so yeah, so I think this is a big part. This is a big part of the flaws of the game that won't be fixed with rollback, right? Rollback will not fix this problem with assists. And contrary to popular belief, I know there's some people that I respect a lot in this community, a lot, right? And we have completely opposite takes on the game right now. They might love the game. I'm not a big fan at the moment, right? They might say that when you talk about broken assists, because I've seen this take. I'm not gonna like name drop or anything like that, because I don't care about drama or anything like that, right? Okay, but I've seen this take before. Why are you guys complaining about assists? You actually only mean Vegito. I don't think this is true. I legit do not think it's true. From my perspective, it's so much more than just Vegito. Vegito is the highest violator of this issue, right? But I think it's so much more than just Vegito, right? It's so much more. Even the assists on characters that are not being picked, I think, demonstrate a direction with assist balance that is not good. It's not good for this to be 30 frame block stun, I don't think. Nor this. Why? You remove the trade-off, right? You remove the trade-off. Broly was sick. I love season 3 Broly. Oh my god, bro. I can't bro. I love season 3 Broly. Broly was one of the characters, right? In season 3, this was a character, and this was a character, and this was a character. I think fixed the game. They fixed the game. They fixed the game in different ways, but Broly was very balanced. I think Broly, like, this, people might, like, you know, try to attack this with hindsight, this and that, but I think Broly was very balanced, right? The problem with Broly was that people were losing to solo Broly. People were losing to limit break sparking Broly, right? But is that Broly's fault, or is that sparking and limit break's fault? I would say that it's the latter's fault, and we'll cover that in a future module. But Broly, right, had trade-offs. His frame data, fantastic. His neutral, fantastic. But if he hits you in neutral, right, let's say he hits you in neutral with his great ki blast, the damage wasn't that high, right? His damage in general is not that high because he lacks M starters. Most of his starts are going to be L starters or ki blast starters, right? That's good, right? His buttons had problems as well. Like his 5L got low profiled, right? Yes, his armor on buttons and stuff like that. I get that. You could complain about that. I'm not mad at people complaining about, like, his JH being armored and shit. Okay, like, I'm not mad at people being mad at that. I am mad at people saying that, like, this character was so egregiously broken when you're losing 3v1. You should not lose 3v1 to a character in this game. You just shouldn't. You really should not. That was true then, and it's true now. I think, was he the best character in the game at the time? I think he has been the best character at the in the game at one point. I think he was. But I think the way that characters are strong matters, right? His assist, right, was good, but it wasn't broken. Why wasn't it broken? It was low block stun, 21 frame block stun. Everything else about it was good. It was ki blast, it was projectile invulnerable, right? The slow movement speed helped a lot of characters because they could kind of run behind it. You know what I'm saying? It had the visual obscurity, so it was hard to see once it exploded on your block, right? And you couldn't You couldn't like decipher what was going on. You got mixed in and of itself because of that, right? And it had setups on top of that. There were characters that were command grabbers that could do some crazy shit with low block stun, right? But then they were like, no, let's just make it 30 frames. So now it's the same as every other pseudo beam, right? That niche team building, that idea of like, I'm gonna pick this assist to enable something very specific, that is kind of lost. It's kind of lost, right? Because like now most assists are the same. They're homogenized. Most assists are fast startup, high block stun, right? That's what they do. Like that's what they did instead of like thinking of creative, inventive ways to give characters utility and other avenues. They were just like, let's just make everything the same. And what that does when you do that is you make it not justifiable to pick a worse character, right? Because if it comes down to, let's say another character had Vegito's assist exactly, right? Let's say the worst character in the game had Vegito assist, but Vegito also still has Vegito assist, right? Which one are you picking? You're picking Vegito, right? They both have the same assist. Why would you not pick the better character? Right? That limits people's team building. Why am I picking a worse character that has an assist that a top tier does? There's no reason for that. Unless you just like really like the combos or something with certain characters. Like from a team building perspective, there's no point. There's no point in me like, why am I picking Yamcha? Why would I pick Yamcha when I could pick this? Any justification? Is there any justification for this? And Yamcha, I think, was in a really good place. He was. But he is a character that has suffered directly from this power creep, right? This is an avenue of power creep that people don't talk about. Most of the time when they talk about power creep, they talk about the characters, tools, like on point, like what they can do on point, right? But we don't tend to talk about assists, right? And how that contributes to power creep. I think Yamcha, if Yamcha to this day was the only 19 frame, 40 blocks and assist, he would be picked. I truly believe that. I think he would still be picked. Just like if GTA was green nerf, he would still be picked. Right? Because no other assist does what it does. No other assist. Right? But now, there are plenty of assists that does what Yamcha does. We already talked about Lab Coat. This shit too, right? Right? This shit. B assist. What's the point of picking them? Right? Hard to justify. Really hard to justify. That's a problem. It's a problem. Broly is third strike Chun-Li, go to neutral but shit damage without meter. That's good. That's good balance. That's good balancing. I think I have one more testimonial for you guys actually. Oh yeah. We got another player. And this player will actually show up later on as well. But I reached out. This player is a full-time Strive player now. No longer playing Dragon Ball. You might know him as the former best Broly in the world. You might know him. Mr. Jonathan Tene quit Dragon Ball. And I asked him, what was the #1 thing that made you stop playing? Right? This is what he hit me with. He hit me with a lot. He gave me a lot of info. And I like that, but I want to highlight one specific, so I won't spoil everything. He said in one of his responses, he said, you know what? No, I'll tell you the whole thing. Listen to this. He said, so the #1 thing is Snap getting nerfed because it made me find alternatives. So that's the first time we've seen someone say something about Snap. Okay, sure. It made me find alternatives is the interesting part of this statement. He said, Snap being nerfed because it made you find alternatives. Okay, let's elaborate on that. After Snap, I could still make people block left rights on 21 and Trunks level 3. And when Roshi came out, he would make people block. When Roshi came out, he would make people block. Now that they shot Roshi and they nerfed Teen Gohan and they nerfed Trunks meter gain, Trunks meter gain on EX moves, and they nerfed 21 level 3, he says, I lost all my solutions. And so when we talk about assists, right, the important part of this is Roshi, right? And LK feels the same way. I didn't have to reach out to him. I did reach out to him. We'll see if he responds at some point. But he felt the same way about Roshi. He felt like Roshi was an assist that made people stop, right? That forced people to stop in a game where it's like go, 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 right? They lost that. They lost that, right? They lost that feeling of, you know, I can call this assist and force you to stop, right? Now, was Roshi's assist overloaded? You could argue that, absolutely. But after the first nerf, I think it was pretty fine. It's pretty fine. And on top of that, you had to play Roshi, right? Trade-offs. Remember the key word at the beginning of all this? Trade-offs. It used to be, you want a strong assist, you might have to sacrifice something on your character, right? You might have to sacrifice something. Like, oh, we're talking about Yamcha right now, right? Roshi was the same way. Really strong assists, sacrifice something on point. These characters were not insanely strong on point like that. They weren't, right? And so those are trade-off, even if the assist was really strong. What'd they do? Bye. Nope. No more of that. You're not allowed to have that. Now, let's just give better versions of the assist that we nerfed to characters that are just much better in pretty much every way. Does that make sense? I don't think it does. This guy. You might notice he's not picked anymore. Why is that? Why is Base Q not picked anymore? Why is he not picked anymore? You know why? This is why. This is why. Where before, Base Q used to have a sick assist that you could only get by playing Base Q. Only Base Q could do what he did. Right? And also, you know, there's other things as well, like characters being buffed and whatnot, right? And also on top of that, the meta shifted away from dedicated anchors. Dedicated anchors don't really exist anymore. Unless you play this shit. Unless you play this shit, there's like no dedicated anchors anymore in the game, right? There's no reason to pick him, right? He has to play he has to play fundamentally sound fighting games. Whereas these other characters, does he have to play fundamentally sound fighting games? Gogeta Blue? I don't think so. Does he? A little bit more than Gogeta, but not to the same extent, I don't think. Not to the same extent that Base Q had to. And their assists do the same thing, but better. This is Base Q assist plus barrier. This is Base Q assist plus it moves, plus if you trade, you're fucked. Think about that, right? If these two assists didn't exist, if 17A and Gogeta A didn't exist, I think Base Q would probably still be picked. Definitely more picked. His is a little bit harder. His is a little bit harder of a case because like there are a lot of other assists that are high block stun now, right? It used to be like you could pick Base Q and it was super good because there weren't that many high block stun assists in the game. Like if your assist had 30 plus block, like if it had more than 30 frames of block stun, that was like high block stun at one point. Remember that? You guys remember that? Remember when like 30 was like, oh shit, like that's why beams were part of the reason that beams were so good, right? They were neutral application and they were 30 block stun, right? 30 block stun was like a golden number. It's not like that anymore. This shit has 35, right? On a barrier. This shit has 50 on a 19 frame assist. This shit has 40 on a 19 frame assist or 20 frame assist, right? It's not like that anymore. So assists changed a lot. Like assists changed a lot with how the game has been played and how people choose characters, and it's something that, like I said, the overarching sentiment of all this is rollback does not fix this. It doesn't fix this. It doesn't fix it. This is a fundamental flaw of the game that cannot be fixed by rollback. It can't be. This is a problem. Right? This is a problem. Like I said, the point of this is not to be, I don't want people to think that like the point of this is to like be purely negative, but I think I've seen too many people think that like rollback is going to be the saving grace, right? When in reality, right, I don't want them to get their hearts broken. You know how many people were like, if this game gets rollback, I'll come back to the game, right? You remember, you guys remember like pros that quit that were like, yo, I'll play Dragon Ball again if rollback is there. I don't want you guys to be disappointed. I think even if rollback comes back, they might play it for a bit, but I don't see those players maining the game again. I don't see Sonic maining this game again. Because the game's problems, like the problems that I've gotten from their mouths, right? This isn't, it's not like other speculation things, because a lot of people are gonna hit you guys with bullshit. They're gonna be like, well, you know, players think this and players think that. No. There's no generalization anymore, right? I'm giving you exactly what they said from their mouths, why they quit, right? These are the problems. These things do not go away with better netcode. It is better for the game to have better netcode, but it doesn't fix these problems with the gameplay, right? The system is a problem. And the assists are a big part of a very fundamentally flawed system.